Hi, my name is Charles. I'm a certified Final Cut Pro 10 trainer. Thanks for joining me to learn video editing with Final Cut Pro 10 version 10.4.10. Final Cut Pro is a professional level editing application used by film studios across the world and for editing Hollywood blockbusters. This 5-minute quick start guide will allow you to get started with editing in Final Cut Pro 10. We'll cover importing, editing, and sharing your masterpiece. The first thing to learn is where everything is. In the default workspace, you'll see the browser in the upper left, then the viewer, and the inspector in the upper right. Along the bottom, you'll find the timeline. There are many more sections in Final Cut Pro 10 that you'll need to use along the way. But for now, let's explore the basics of these sections. The browser is the part of Final Cut Pro 10 that contains all of the building blocks for your story. In the Libraries sidebar, you'll find your library, events, and folders. Contained herein are any imported footage, stills, and audio files. The Photos and Audio sidebar lets you take a peek into other areas of your Mac, including your music, photos library, and any audio projects you've been working on in GarageBand, as well as a free sound effects library that comes included with the software. Finally, in the Titles and Generators sidebar, you'll find useful text objects and animations, backgrounds, and graphics for use in your project. To start making your project, you'll first need to import your files, either from a connected camera or from another location on your computer. Select Import and use the sidebar to select the source from which you want to import. Then select the required files. As you can see, there are many preferences for how you'd like Final Cut Pro 10 to handle your footage, but for now, let's just import it so we can get started. Once that's done, you'll find your files in the browser. You may notice this pie chart filling up gradually. That's the background activity window, letting us know Final Cut Pro 10 is still working. In this case, it's likely still working on importing these files, but conveniently, it lets us begin editing right away. The viewer is where you can preview the files you're working with in Final Cut Pro 10. Skim across any clip to see what it contains. The inspector shows you relevant information about whatever you have selected. A lot of what you can see also can be modified, so you can make changes. It's a contextual menu, so it only shows information and controls that are relevant. For example, selecting a music track will present you with audio information and controls, but not display anything related to video, as there is none. Likewise, when you're editing text, you'll see typeface options, font color, and more. But as these aren't relevant controls in other situations, you won't see those controls when doing other things. To begin editing, you'll need a project. You'll know if you have one because you'll see its name here. If it's blank, then you don't have one open. To create a project, select File, New, Project. As you can see, there are many preferences for how you'd like Final Cut Pro 10 to set your project up. But for now, let's use the default settings. Now we have our project, we can start to build our story. In the browser, skim across your clips to find the parts you want to use. When you have a lot of footage, it's worth spending some time organizing all your files in the browser to make the footage more manageable. For now, let's select this clip. Drag the yellow handles to select the best part of your clip, and then you can bring it down into your timeline. Everything outside of the yellow selection won't be brought into your project. And believe it or not, that's it. Once you've imported your footage, creating a basic storyline is easy. You can return to the browser to find your next clip and follow the same steps to add more and more to your video. While you're practicing, why not try bringing in some music, photos, titles, and generators too? When you're happy with your project, select Share to export your project as a video file that you can distribute as you like, or even send it straight to YouTube or Facebook. This has been a brief introduction to video editing in Final Cut Pro 10. At this point, we've only scratched the surface of what this versatile app has to offer. We've briefly covered the workspace, importing, editing, and sharing your masterpiece. But there's still a wealth of things to learn, from professional color grading tools, multicam editing, closed captioning, and 360-degree video, not to mention its companion apps, Motion 5 and Compressor. But we've covered enough to get you editing from start to finish. Not bad for 5 minutes. Thanks for watching, and happy editing.
Hey Zeustify family, it's me, your goodest Judy, from another booty, Mr. Chris Sapphire, yes darling, from The Circle on Netflix. Now look, if you like this video and you had a good old time, make sure to subscribe. And remember, life is always good, especially when you believe and when you are hanging out with the Zeustify family. Yes! Mwah!